Teamwork makes the dream work, but it can also be a total nightmare. Hey leader, David Burkus here, organizational psychologist and author of 5 best-selling books on helping leaders and teams do their best work ever. And work is teamwork. So much of the work we're asked to do in pretty much every sector of the economy is work that requires collaboration, is work that requires teamwork. Most of us don't just work on one team, we work on a lot of different teams, and our own ability to perform in our role, but then also to make the organization's goals and objectives into reality requires us amping up our ability to collaborate well. So in this episode, we're gonna talk about 6 tips for effective teamwork. 6 ways you can build the best team ever, no matter your role. Let's get started. So the first tip for effective teamwork is to set clear goals. And what I mean here are really goals on 2 levels. There are the goals of the team. There are the project objectives or the cascading OKRs or KPIs. If you don't know what those are, just let's go with goals. There are the goals that the team is asked to achieve, and then there are the individual goals that are nested inside of that. And when we say set clear goals, we mean clarity on both levels. It's not enough to have people know just what the team goals are, and it's not enough to have people know what their individual goals and performance objectives and how they're being rated are. It's not enough to just know the team goals. It's not enough to just know our individual expectations. We need to have clarity about how our role, our individual role, serves the larger team role. In psychology, this is often called task significance or having a salience of a task. It's about meaning and knowing what the contribution we make to the team is, how our work and our objectives and our responsibilities to the team serve the rest of the team as well. It also helps us know if we're on pace, right? You might have an annual objective, and if you haven't already done so, you need to set down quarterly and maybe even monthly and maybe even weekly goals so that we know where we are as a team in our pace toward that larger goal. That is just going to increase motivation on the team as a whole because progress is a potent human motivator. So set clear goals and set clear milestones to those goals and make sure the team as a whole knows how each individual's action contributes to those larger goals. The second tip for effective teamwork is to communicate activity. Make sure everyone on the team is communicating what they're working on and when it could be expected to be delivered by, and maybe even the struggles that they're encountering. Now, I'm a big fan of communicating activity through what I call huddles, what you might also be familiar with as the scrum or the daily stand-up in the world of agile, but getting the team together on a regular basis and checking in around 3 central questions. What did I just complete? What am I focused on next? And what's blocking my progress? I mean, think about those questions. They're a communication of past activity, what did I just complete? A communication of future activity, let's say for the next week, what am I focused on next? And then they're a communication of disactivity or potential obstacles or roadblocks, all of which are vital not only for an individual to reflect on and have for their own plan of action for the week, but for the whole team to be aware of. Especially that last question, because it's the team that's usually going to help them clear those roadblocks. So getting the team together on a regular basis to share out what they've done, what they're focused on, and how they can help each other. That's really what the roadblocks question is about. How they can help each other almost guarantees more effective collaboration, more effective teamwork. The third tip for effective teamwork is to understand differences. Understand the different personalities and experiences, strengths and weaknesses, but probably most importantly, the different behaviors on a team. You know, teams are composed of a group of people working together towards shared goals. And we usually divvy up tasks as quickly as possible and then kind of go our separate ways. And we forget to take into account who's really strong in some areas, who's weaker in other areas, how our work gets nested together, and how we're going to support each other. The reason we speed through this and overlook so much of appropriate delegation is that we don't really understand any of those things. We don't know the strengths and weaknesses and different behaviors. We don't know who's fantastic communicating in person and who would prefer to write it all out. We don't know who's amazing at Excel. All right, maybe we do, because if you've ever found an Excel wizard, you don't let those go easily. And we don't know who's more visually inclined. We need to have those conversations. I'm a big fan of doing this through what I call a manual of me, a quick 4 questions where people share out to the team. I'm at my best when I'm doing this type of work or in this type of environment. I'm at my worst when doing this type of work or environment. You can count on me too, meaning here's what I can do to support you and what I need from you is, meaning what I need help with. And if everybody on the team shares that out, and especially if we keep that information somewhere everybody can see it, we'll have a much better shot at understanding differences, we'll delegate better, and more importantly, we'll know how to help each other far more. The fourth tip for effective teamwork is to create safety, as in psychological safety. Create an environment on the team where people feel like it's safe to take interpersonal risks, where people feel free to speak up when they disagree, where people feel free to share their crazy ideas, and perhaps most importantly, where people feel free to share their struggles and their failures. Look, failure is an amazing teacher, and failure is how we adopt a team-wide growth mindset to get to the place where we're constantly learning as a team and constantly improving. But we're not going to be able to do that unless we create a space where people feel it's safe to admit those failures. If they feel like they have to cover it up, if they feel like every little failure is going to get written down and added to their permanent record, then we're probably not going to create enough safety to learn from those failures. We're probably going to create people that straight up hide those failures, which is always unethical and, depending on your industry, possibly illegal. So there's a number of different reasons we want to create that safety. And we do that, if we're in a leadership role, we do that by going first, by trusting the team, by admitting our weaknesses, by modeling whatever behavior we want to see, whether that's admissions of failures or whether that's how we respond when other people take those risks. Whatever the team is lacking, it's on the leader to model, and in doing so, they'll over time create more of that psychological safety. The fifth tip for effective teamwork is to disagree respectfully. And this is another area where, as a leader, if you're in that role, you might have to model this. But disagree respectfully, meaning we're going to encounter differing ideas, differing opinions, different possible plans of action. We want that. You don't want a team where everyone thinks alike. It either means there's not enough psychological safety, so go back to the last tip, or it means that everybody thinks alike, which is even more damaging. A high-performing team is usually a diverse team, one with a lot of different backgrounds, experiences, past histories, and hence different perspectives. But we're only going to be able to share those perspectives if we teach the team how to disagree respectfully, how to not shoot down ideas right away, how to actively listen as a team, and perhaps most importantly, when we want to have a discussion about those differences, how to ask questions instead of making statements. If you want to fight over an idea, that's fine, but fight over the assumptions behind the idea first. Make sure that we've explored the logical conclusion of all of those different assumptions that the other person we disagree with has gotten to. In doing so, we're going to better understand them and their thinking, but we're going to better appreciate our differences as well. And eventually, we'll find the best idea, and that's going to help us perform better in the long run. And the last tip for effective teamwork is to celebrate regularly. Yeah, celebrate regularly, not just at the end of the year if we hit our bonuses or if we did a great job and we're doing the party anyway, not just when people have their own personal big wins, not just when people hit their work anniversaries, etc., but celebrate every small win. I'm a huge fan of teams sharing wins out every single day, because in the opportunity to share out wins, we have the opportunity for people to celebrate the contribution their personal win is making to the larger team. And when we hit important milestones, even if we're not there yet, it's an opportunity to celebrate our progress. And progress is a powerful human motivator. Now, I don't mean we have to buy cake and streamers and balloons and have a huge party at every little celebration, but I do mean taking the time to recognize when milestones have been crossed, even if it's a slight nod, even if it's just a virtual celebration via email or Slack. You want to be the type of team where people feel their contributions are noticed and appreciated, and you do that by celebrating it. And when you do, guess what? You find that people make more and more significant contributions, and that helps you become a more effective team. Now look, the truth is this is not an exhaustive list, but these are the 6 most effective ways to encourage effective teamwork, because they're based in 3 fundamental elements of high performance. Teams that perform the best are teams that have a sense of common understanding, meaning everybody knows what everybody is working on and understands each other's differences. Psychological safety, meaning people feel free to take those risks and they trust and respect each other. And lastly, a sense of pro-social purpose, meaning people know they're making a contribution toward good work and that contribution is going to be celebrated. So whichever of these tips you decide to implement first, just know what you're really doing is shaping that team culture. And when you shape the team culture, you change their habits, the norms of behavior, etc., you're going to change the performance they experience until eventually you could build a team where everyone feels like when I'm on this team, I can do my best work ever. Oh, and one more thing. If you're curious about those manuals of me, that way to understand differences, then you want to check out this longer deep dive into how to structure that activity. It is not so humbly titled the single best team building activity, because in my mind, manuals of me are the single best team building activity.